Let's get to Professor of Constitutional Law James Sample on the story about the Supreme Court backing the FCC's power to levy fines against cell phone carriers who fail to protect consumer information. James, thank you so much for joining us. Real quick, just break it down for dummies like myself. What does this Supreme Court ruling actually mean?
Yeah, this is a ruling that it frankly takes some understanding. So you did no dummy at all here, which is to say the Supreme Court faced this case after the FCC brought a case against Verizon and AT&T for selling the consumer locations via cell phone data of their customers. And so those companies were fined to the tune of tens of millions of dollars each. And the companies paid those fines, but then challenged the validity of having to pay those fines as a violation of the Seventh Amendment. To put the Seventh Amendment in perspective, what it does is it guarantees the right to a jury trial in cases over money, as opposed to criminal prosecutions, where a Sixth Amendment jury trial right would apply in federal court. And the core idea of the Seventh Amendment is that if you're going to have to pay money in federal court as a result of a judgment, a jury should serve as a buffer that separates either two private parties or a private party and the government. In this case, the private parties were the companies. And so what the court ruled 8-1 is that the jury right does still apply. The companies are still entitled to a jury right, but that is only when they are forced to pay. So the FCC does have the power to fine the companies, and the companies then have the ability to challenge that, to say we're not going to pay, at which point the FCC would have to sue them in federal court and then get a jury.
Yeah, James, people are searching online. They're wondering, what is the FCC and data privacy enforcement right now as it stands?
Well, the FCC, if you think about the founders of the Constitution, they didn't envision this fourth branch of government. We have them across all areas of our deeply industrialized, deeply technological society. And in a sense, the Constitution speaks of three branches of government. Organizations like the FCC regulate, in the case of the FCC, the broadcast airwaves. And so here, when the companies were taking private customers' data and selling it to third parties, that's what the FCC stepped in to regulate.
James, kind of a two-parter for you. When you said that companies like AT&T and Verizon actually paid the fines, were they obligated to at the time? What does that actually look like for them when it comes to moving forward with this suit? Like, is this something that we hope to see, that we'll be seeing more of, that kind of enforcement from the FCC?
Well, this is, to be clear, this is the way things have worked historically. So this ruling is consistent with historical practice. What the companies argued, and Justice Thomas agreed with them. He was alone in dissent in the 8-1 decision. They argued that they felt as though they were forced to pay, that they didn't have an opportunity to challenge the penalties, and so they argued that this was coercive and that they were being deprived of their Seventh Amendment right. Chief Justice Roberts and the other members of the majority said, as long as you have the opportunity to get a jury at some point, that suffices.
I see. James Sample, thank you so much for breaking that down for me. A lot to learn about that stuff. Let's get right to the Pentagon.